Hey guys, welcome back. And it's been a little while. 2 weeks. We got two strikes back to back within 5 minutes of each other, all due to the company that none of us are allowed to talk about. As you guys all know, the company they make chemicals. They make chemicals that we are made to take, and a random director of theirs did some things, said some things. We just talked about that video really, and that got us a double strike on YouTube and a lovely 2 week ban. So we're
You know what's
back.
funny?
What's that?
My daughter got picked up out of college. She graduated a semester early when she graduated this years ago and was on their R&D, worked for them.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's terrible.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, well, she
so
quit.
yeah, so you guys know the changing of the way we're gonna operate some things to avoid losing this channel completely is we're gonna post music to YouTube, and we will post everything to Rumble. So it'll be great if you guys will not just like and subscribe here, share the content here, but please go to Rumble. As you all know, everybody is basically having to have to run to Rumble. Matt Walsh has been removed from YouTube. I believe Crowder's been removed from YouTube almost completely. Many other people have also been removed at this point in time. And the worst thing about our channel is we're not big enough to migrate people over. So we can disappear into the waves if you guys do not also go and follow us over there. But here we are. We are finally getting to react to Tom Macdonald's Dirty Money. I have not seen it. Jerry has not seen it. So here we go. Let's get into this.
They're angry that they'll never shut me up. I'm making more noise. Turn me up or turn me down, it's your choice. Black lives only matter when they got a corpse to exploit. Cause the media made millions off the protests for George Floyd. That's called ad revenue. They make cash selling you all the crap in the ads while they broadcast news. Ooh, the network full of liars got investment capital and segments sponsored by Pfizer. And the freedom fighters, I feel like the left just plants them to infiltrate the right. It's extensive planning. Then it happens overnight. It's impressive branding. Make $1 million off of shirts that say let's go Brandon. It's a cash grab, everyone's a lab rat. Amazon made billions of dollars from sanitizer and black mass, and that's that. Funny how the terrorists who attack always come from places that are oil rich and have gas. Democrats, they don't give a damn. What is this about? Our military trapped in the Middle East, can't get them out. Heroes are the ones who had the Constitution written down. Y'all are using hero while describing Kyle Rittenhouse. 1 cent, 2 cents.
Interesting. Uh, I think I heard a name him refer to. I don't know. It might have got us in trouble at last time. I'm not sure, but it's music, and we're just critiquing the music. And
We'll call them. We'll just refer to them as if it is what we are talking about. Our friendly neighborhood doctors.
yes, our friendly neighborhood doctors, Kevorkian. Um, yeah, interesting is Tom yet again lists the corporate influences on everything we hear and
Right.
everything that's actually allowed to be said, and everybody's making money off of it. But you notice nothing's happening, nothing's really changing for the better. As
Nope.
everybody talks about it, it's like when they say, "Well, we're going to have hearings on this," you know, in Congress. It's like you guys have hearings on everything. You guys blather, blow off steam, hot air, or whatever. You think you score some points with the populace, and then it's business as usual. I
Yeah.
mean, we heard Republicans for shoot, it must have been 30 years talked about they were going to curb illegal immigration, and when they had the opportunity, when Trump first got in, they went against it and killed it.
Yeah.
I mean, right now they're arguing over our debt ceilings, and they're like, oh, well, everybody, even the newscasters say, well, they're gonna end up raising it, and but it's always the same ploy. It's like they just realized just now in the last few weeks that, oh man, we've been spending more money than we have. Well, what's everybody else? What do you do? And everybody's listening to this. What do I do? What's Mac do? If we realize that we're out of money, if
Mm-hmm.
we're overspending for our earning power, what do we do? You stop spending. And what do? They argue that, well, we're going to print more money. and that's exactly what they'll do. They'll print more money to cover the debt, and try to keep gold and silver prices down if they can, so that the rest of the world doesn't see what they're doing.
Right.
It's interesting, but we certainly had enough billions of dollars to send to Ukraine. I don't know where they found that so easily. I didn't hear a big argument.
Yeah, no, it's super problematic. And I'm glad that Tom is speaking out against the bigger corporate issues, because I mean, I think I'm on the camp that most of what's going on in Ukraine is to feed big military spending. It just so happens to be that every time some big initiative happens, that is, when there's a recession, they use some kind of military focal point to drive bigger spending back into the country.
Well, you think about it, Mac, and for all you listening, is for the last 27 years we've had a war going on, and right or wrong of it, wrong in a lot of I believe, but is as a former Marine, I believe it is the military-industrial complex was making billions and billions, if not trillions, of dollars over that period of time, making these weapons, and they had a bunch of them made. That their expectations were is to continue the war somewhere. Right. So whoops. So we leave a bunch of them that we paid for the Taliban in Afghanistan. What's the military-industrial complex care? They got paid for them, right. And now we're short those. So now they got to make more to sell to us. So what happens? We give Ukraine a few $1 billion, and what's to help them defend themselves? What do? They take that money and wash it right back, less what they keep in their pockets. The government of Ukraine, the president, and the rest of the crooks, is they take the rest of it, and then they send it. They keep a percentage, 10 or 20%, whatever they're keeping, maybe more, and make themselves rich, and then they come back and they take that very same American taxpayer dollars that you're paying in your taxes every paycheck, and buy more weapons from American military industrial complex, and because they've got to have a war. There's right. just too much money in it. It's just too much money in it. I mean, boots, beans, bullets, all those things that go with it, planes, bombs, medical supplies.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll be in a new era. See, before it used to be just every 10 years or so, 15 years, you start a new war, create the money. But now they don't have to do it as aggressively. Well, what they can do is that you'll never get not so much as aggressively as it is that maybe they'll just put us into this infinite loop. We'll go to war. The war will resolve itself. They'll start a pandemic. Rinse and repeat.
Maybe. I mean, the pandemic I think was a lesson for America, especially, maybe the rest of the world as well, is that your sovereignty means nothing, and neither does the Constitution. If you think you have some amount of freedoms, right. We'll just say it's a pandemic, and if it's a pandemic, then in reality, it's martial law. If you can't go to church, if you can't get married, if you can't go visit your relatives, if you can't have more than 10 people in your house, and or they're going to haul you in, or you can't, you've got to take this shot, or you're gonna lose your job. That's tyranny.
I guess that is, I will call that one huge oversight on the Constitution. But I guess, I mean, who could have planned for it? Because corporations themselves didn't quite exist the way they do today. Back then, was that the corporations either A, need to have constitutional protections, or B, they cannot be used as a bypass to constitutional, uses an anti-constitutional weapon. I mean, is the biggest thing at this point. If there's any amendment to ever be done to the Constitution at this point, needs to be that a corporation cannot be used as a fulcrum of the government to bypass constitutional rights. Government can't say you have to get COVID shot. But what a government can do is it can tell a corporation, we're going to withdraw your funding if you do not make it required. And then a corporation doesn't have to follow constitutional protections. That's just a thing. So it was great money. It was perfect placing.
Well, interestingly though, and I'll just throw something out there. like Tom would. If the corporation said, "Well, we can fire you because you're black or you're Mexican or you're white," is the government be all over that? Because it'll be
Well,
stepping on the Constitution.
the
But they don't
government
step
doesn't
on
get
it.
that's the thing is the government. That's where it gets funny. The government doesn't get on it. What
That's
what
right.
happens is the ACLU or these groups get in and then they sue via protections that were made as an amendment, right? So
Yep.
things like racial the different, I don't even know, these are high digit amendments that are where you can't discriminate in employment. Those amendments, they're high.
14.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, there is no amendment that has been created to even allow these lawsuits to take place to prevent companies from going basically, hawk
Well, the
on the
reality is,
population.
Mac, is that those corporations donate a lot more money to campaigns than the individual citizens do.
Right.
And so that's
Right.
where the money says. So those corporations, I mean, this is why the news media is so corrupted, is that the corporations that are their sponsors on those particular stations control a lot of what's said and even the attitude of the newscasters
Yep.
on those stations, because they're nothing but a mouthpiece for that corporation, at least to protect it if in fact there's something going on wrong with it.
Right.
And it's a tough spot we find ourselves in, because you've got few places to turn. You see, even with YouTube or the rest of them, I mean, in Twitter went through it, is if something was said that wasn't in their political approved box, is then they just block them. I mean, it happens all the time on Facebook. People are blocked, or they limit how many people they can talk to, and they just close them out. Nobody knows that's what's happening at that
Right.
particular point in time. You don't know if you're reaching 10 people or 10,000 or a million.
Right.
Is
I mean, we go from 300,000 on one video to 9,000 within a month to 10 within 5 months.
yeah. I wonder how that happened.
It's so funny.
What that was
But all
all
right,
about.
let's go ahead and get back into this. Here we go.
And 3 cents for we get less and they get more. Buying sold since we were born. They want money. We want dirty dollars fill their pockets while our coffins fill the ground. They make profits solving problems they create.
Talking about it right
to
there.
keep us down. Dirty money. Dirty money. I don't want your dirty money. They might kill me for the song, it's all classified intelligence. Don't need to go to war to secretly be getting benefits. When Russia launches rockets, we condemn them, but there's evidence a US politician owns the screws they're assembled with. Ain't no war on drugs, it's economic. You make money off an inmate, every jail cell is profit. Our prisons are privately owned, illegal marijuana just mean kids smoking weed turn to dollars in their pockets, let's be honest. Domestic threats in comparison to nuclear powers who hate the West is embarrassing. Still we label truckers in the convoy as terrorists and confiscate donations, we have no idea where it is. A pipeline leaks, price of gas goes higher. Stock market crash, everybody gets fired. Economy is weak while we trying to beat a virus. $1 trillion in debt to China. We celebrate the smallest battles we're winning, so they can publish the headline that's gonna fuel division. But if we champion the crumbs, then it's crumbs that we're given. And we don't make any progress, we're stuck at the beginning. 1 cent, 2 cent, 3.
Interesting. Yeah.
He pretty much just said everything we were just talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was thinking, as just to switch gears a little bit, like the Silicon Valley Bank, SVB, the Silicon Valley, when it rolled up, closed its doors over the weekend, and then boom, by Monday they were up and running again. It was Chase or whoever it was who bought them. And that whole thing was done over a weekend. You ever try to open a bank account? I mean, it takes you that long to get a bank account open, much less transfer billions of dollars. And then what they do, they funded the top 10 people, I think it was, there were over billions of dollars. I forgot how many hundreds of billions of dollars they had in there. They all got their money. But the little guy, the ones, well, I don't know if little guy's $1 million or less now, whatever that is.
Well, yeah, because they obviously, so that bank was not, no, it was SDI, it was FDIC insured.
Sure it
But
was,
the problem,
up to 250 grand.
Yeah, the problem is, so the little guys, if for whatever reason, if you were you had your money in that particular bank, because that's an odd bank. So
Yeah.
Silicon Valley Bank, literally, its whole business model is to loan money to startups. So it was already a high risk bank. The odds of there being like a real little guy, like a small, like a me or you, putting a, 10, 20, 50, 100 grand into that, probably really small. There were some, they're going to get their money through FDIC. What it is there's this middle band that got really wrecked. There's the big guys. They got their money back from that. But then there was that middle band. People borrow a mil. People borrow 2 mils, or they had a mil or 2 mil, 3 mil, 5 mil in assets. They got wiped.
Yeah, and the question is because there's been no reporting on what happened to those guys specifically. Say they had $2 million in the bank, and then the bank rolled up. They got say FDIC gave them their 250,000, but yet they're still out at $1,750,000. Is what happens with that money now? When that bank was taken over by the other bank, did they negotiate that they were going to make all those deposits good, or did they just say, nope, poof, those are gone?
Yeah, because it was a poof, those were gone.
Think about this. What's our government complaining about now? What's the big talk? Inflation, which is too many dollars.
Right.
Too many dollars have been printed. So they take a bunch of these banks. Our government drives inflation up through petroleum prices, and one way was where it really started is because we won't drill here. So then what happens is the government now, when they go in and close down these banks, all these middle people, like we're talking about, $1 million, $2 million in the banks, anything over 250,000, they're not covered for unless they're the upper crust 1% or whatever percentage it is of depositors. Now all that money just disappears. Right. So now they've cut inflation. You think about this. They've cut inflation by just those dollars just vanishing.
Vaporizing
nobody's
money.
Got them.
Right.
Yeah, no one's got them. Maybe that's the way they're fighting inflation. They're going to strip it out of any of the middle Americans.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways that they're gaining it back. As I think those bank closures are a great way to watch a bunch of money vaporize, but also you're also seeing a lot of that money get removed when the interest rates are as high as they are. There's a lot of people that are pulling things like mortgages. So essentially, the money that was free in the market is now buried into extraordinarily toxic real estate. There's a lot of people pulling loans at 5.5% or 5.25%. Well, more than that. It's like 6.5%, 7% because the banks have to make their money. Well, they know that majority of those assets are going to go under. There's a lot of people that are buying $300,000, $400,000 houses because that is now the new average. And right, well, where I'm at. So I can only speak on Georgia. You live in the Northeast. You don't count. Like your guys' numbers are different. But if you're talking about somebody making $50,000-$60,000 a year, pulling a 6.5%-7% loan on a $350,000-$400,000 house, that's $2,400-$2,500.
Yeah. How do they pay it?
Right. How do you pay it when your take home is only out of a 50,000-60,000 is going to be 35,000-40,000 with taxes, and you're paying what, $35,000 a year on mortgage? So there's a bunch of these extraordinarily toxic real estate assets, and people are squeezing by pulling in roommates, and they're getting crafty. But the problem is crafty isn't economic, because eventually everything just starts to disintegrate. Everything will start to fall apart. What'll happen then is they'll start lowering the rates. The stock market will go to the moon, because right now we're at 6%, and the stock market, will use the Dow as your benchmark, even though the Dow is a terrible metric, but it's 33,000, right? But it's 33,000 maintaining stagnant while the interest rates have gone up over 5% in the last.
They've raised it, I think, 10 times in the last few months.
Right. Well,
this year alone.
Yeah, just in the last, but that's just in that time. I'm talking in the last year, it's gone up over 5%. But yet the stock market only dropped from 36,000 ish to 33,000. Now it dropped lower, and then it came up a little bit. But every time it's gone up, it's never really dropped. It's been flatline. I know I'm watching my stocks. I'm watching my investments, and they're not doing anything. They're not going up. They're not going down, which is okay, cool, fine, whatever. But what happens when they start dropping the interest rates? Like, I'm holding cash in banks because I'm getting 4 3/4% interest in banks.
Hope it's not SVB.
No. I mean, that's a business. That's a business bank. I'd never even heard of SVB till.
Well, there's another one. There's another one that was out there that just went under, and there was a bank down in Boston. One of them, something Republic National Bank.
Yeah. Again, though these are all these small business loaning banks. That's what they are.
Well, they had people find out in front of them. I'll tell you, down in Boston, trying to get their money, and they couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I
I
spread my money across multiple banks. I don't even house all my money. My primary banking is Chase, but I don't even hold all the money there because it's too risky. I spread across multiple different banks, and I have one primary. That's the one everybody moves in and out of Chase, but everything moves when it's more long term into those high yield savings accounts, those online only banks. Why? Well, I don't need to pay a storefront. I don't, if they don't pay a storefront, they're giving higher interest rates, but that's what everybody's doing. You have a lot of people like me that have a lot more money than I do. When I say a lot more, I mean like add zeros to the end of it, sitting in these high yield interest savings accounts, making 4 3/4%. That's a lot of money to people that might be locking away $10 to $50 million. Now, what happens when those?
One or two more zeros than you have in the bank?
What's up?
That's 150 million. Do you have one or two zeros less than that? I just want to know if I can hit you up for a small
4 zeros. Yeah, we're talking more like, if you're talking 550 million, we're talking 3 or 4. Yeah, 3 or 4 zeros in there. That's a lot of money.
I saw this happen under Carter. And when Carter came in, another great Democrat mind, like Biden, and he's the one who screwed up our oil deal. He screwed us up with Iran and all that, and then we ended up with the first line of fuel shortages. And I was living in LA at the time, and they were going odd and even license plate numbers on odd and even days of the week. You could get gas.
Yeah.
There were lines. I mean, LA was packed lines. Yeah, you
My
got to know
dad
everybody
told me
around you
stories
because you
about
sat in
that.
the line for so long waiting for fuel. But interest rates shot up like 15%. And I was a home builder. And
Yep,
I
that
saw all
was
these guys.
Paul Volcker.
Yeah.
That was the Fed Reserve chairman. I know my financial history.
Yeah, and Reagan, I knew when Reagan was running that what he was going to do is he was going to break some industries individually and to drive down inflation, because inflation was going through the roof.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. And believe me, is it beat the hell out of me and a lot of other people.
Yep.
But he did. The economy did recover because of it, of his finances. But I mean, Biden's doing the same thing Carter did. If anybody wants to know what we're headed for, go look back in history and look what the economy was doing when Jimmy Carter was president, and you'll see exactly the same thing. You see the gas shortages, you see the gas prices go through the roof overnight, and they're not done, and we'll see.
Yep.
We'll see.
All right, let's get into this.
3 cents for we get less and they get more. By insult since we were born, they want money. We want dirty dollars fill their pockets while our coffins fill the ground. They make profits, solving problems they create to keep us down. Dirty money. Dirty money. I don't want your dirty money. Not enough soap to scrub, it's soaked in blood. It's all about the money, 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 money. Every time we make a buck, they take from us. It's all about the money, 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 money. The dollar runs our lives until we die. It's all about the money, 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 money. It controls your mind and it controlling mine. Dirty dollars fill their pockets while our coffins fill the ground. They make profits, solving problems they create to keep us down. Dirty money. Dirty money.
Yeah, painted with the blood and the sweat of the American middle class.
Yep.
That's what they used to dye that money. Hey, I heard money doesn't grow on trees, but that's really not true. It is made of wood.
Is it still? I thought new money's plastic.
It might be.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think new money is like it's a petroleum product.
Yeah. Oh my God. No. Yeah. No wonder. Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think about Ukraine? What's going on there, Mac, right now with Ukraine and us?
I honestly, I have absolutely no idea. I got some good conspiracy theories. I might want to save that for a different video. Maybe we'll pull up some content and let's do that on another one. So if you guys want,
Okay.
check that video out. We might go look up something for Ukraine and talk some conspiracy theory. That will only be on Rumble because they absolutely will ban you for talking bad against Ukraine. If you guys like this video, comment down below, like and subscribe, and see you on the next one.
Thanks. Simplify.
I'm not singing it.